Welcome back YouTube, VST here, Valens Tech, and today we are going to revisit the Samsung S22 Galaxy Ultra, in this case portrait modes. Most of it, not all, but most of it is also going to be applicable for the whole S22 series, because that's the camera AI stereo depth map that was kind of introduced by Samsung, and also being one of the main prominent features what the cameras are concerned. And before we start this video, we need to turn the phone around and just remind ourselves of the setup that I have on the Galaxy S22 Ultra. So this thing here is a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Then here we have the main sensor, 108 megapixel, the wide angle camera. Then we have a 10 megapixel 10x optical zoom. And maybe if you focus here, you're gonna see the periscope lens, and then next to it we have again a 10 megapixel 3x optical zoom, then the flash, and then of course the laser used for the autofocus. In this video I want to cover the differences between the real portraits that are shot from the main sensor and also by the 10 megapixel 3x optical zoom versus the fake portraits that apparently you can also use the Samsung gallery to add this portrait bokeh feature. And this is why I want to say some words about the AI stereo depth that Samsung are using here. When you hear me speaking about AI stereo depth map, this is nothing more, nothing less, but really Samsung using artificial intelligence to really play a big role in manipulating your photos. So apparently Samsung is using these AI algorithms, and they can create this effect of a bokeh, the sophisticated depth map of a scene that you're shooting. So you're taking your phone, pointing up to a person, and then boom, you have a very beautiful, very nice effect. Let's take a look at this example. This is a picture that is shot by the main sensor, and in most of these cases Samsung is using the depth map to really accurately calculate the distance that you have here between the face and also all the various elements that are in the frame and are on the background. Okay, and of course you can notice it is not always perfect, because it's very difficult to isolate different hair strains, all types of hairs, and even glasses, and these scenarios really are very difficult. In this particular picture, when I click on it, you're gonna see that the area around the hair is blurred or smudged, and this is really where Samsung is using the new so-called AI stereo depth to try to improve this. Okay, so this is again an AI algorithm. It runs on the background, it is applied when you process the photo, and the idea really is to automatically try to create a better separation between your picture and the background. Okay, so now that this is clear, I want to show you what is the difference between a real portrait that is shot here by the main camera or the 3x optical zoom and the so-called fake portraits. And also what I'm going to show you guys is what exactly you're able to change on both the real portraits and the fake portraits. But before I continue to the video, if you like content like this, please notice here the subscribe bell. This is created by one of my sons, so if you decide to subscribe to the channel, guys, you have a virtual high five from myself, for you, and for all of your friends. All right, now let's keep going. Let's clarify what fake portraits are. See this picture here. It's a very normal and fine picture shot again by the main 108 megapixel sensor, and as you can see, there are no portrait effects at all. And of course, Samsung being a very powerful company and of course using these sophisticated AI effects, you can add it on your own. How does this work? Very easily. Click on a picture, select the three dots there, and click the Art Portrait effect. Then Samsung are going to apply their sophisticated algorithm and maybe of course also AI stereo depth mapping, and they will give you the option to choose the background blur. So of course 0 is no blur at all, and of course you can go up to 7, which is really creating a very much drastic bokeh effect. Now of course I can apply this, right? Once I do so, guys, and I go back to my gallery, you're gonna see that this is labeled as a portrait, okay? But this is actually what I call the fake portrait. Now let me show you back a real portrait. This here is what I call a real portrait. First, you cannot see here the portrait tag, and then second, you are presented with a button called Change Background Effect, all right? And I think this is gonna be key. Let me show you what you can do with a real portrait picture, which again, I have to remind you, shot either by this camera or by this. So this is the main sensor or the 3x optical zoom, because in the portrait mode, if I have to put on the camera, you have of course the option to shoot with the main sensor and also with the optical zoom. How are we sure that this is the case? I will now cover with my finger the main sensor by using 1x, and you can just see, yeah, it is covered. if I now switch to 3x, you're gonna see that still my finger is there, but yep, we have visuals. And if I go now and cover the 3x camera, you're gonna see that this is no fake there. This is really indeed 3x. What are the advantages of shooting real portraits? Let me just show you. If I click on the change background effect, first thing of course you're gonna see is the blur effect. Again, from 0 to 7, which is kind of applying the most dramatic bokeh effect. But that's not even the most important thing for me. You know why? Let me show you what you can do from the second button. The second button is the so-called studio light. And this here is where I do believe we have the real game. Now see what happens when I decide to somehow reduce the light on the picture. It will become so subtle but very visible, and it will also manipulate the picture as if you're shooting it right now. Now let's see the magic, guys. If I move it to the right and I increase the light, you're gonna see that this part of the face is gonna be illuminated. And the way they're doing this is really incredible. I know that iPhones have that as well, but I see this here in my S22 Ultra, and I have to admit, I am really digging this feature. It is really enormous. I mean, the things that you can do, all the post-processing after you really have captured the information is almost like crazy. This is here like dark magic, like sorcery. See here, if I put the light there, I can minimize the light, I can change the angle and the direction of the light, and I can of course save this. There are of course plenty of other options which I'm not going to explore right now, but you are able to do plenty of magic with the background. I want to go now to the so-called fake portrait and show you what are the options for manipulations there. This now here is the fake portrait, and of course I can click the edit button and I'll be presented with probably one of the most powerful editing tools, which is actually the Samsung Gallery. And there are plenty of options. I can click here on the face, I can try to draw things. I can of course also go to the face effects and apply smoothness. I can also play with the jawline, you know, all this fancy eye stuff. I do have here also the background blur, so I can even go beyond that one, but I don't really have an option to manipulate the lights, the source, the direction, and of course also the strength and the intensity. All right, so although it is still quite powerful, guys, I can only manipulate the light of the whole picture. So the fake portraits doesn't have this studio lighting where apparently, you know, using either the 108 megapixel main sensor or the 10 megapixel 3x optical, and you do have this information stored inside the picture so that you're really able to play with this. Okay, now of course one of the other advantages, I can always revert to the original, guys, and just undo the portrait, right? So it's not going to be a portrait anymore, and if I want to adjust the background blur, I can of course all the time revert and then yeah, just try to apply it anew, like other portrait effect, changing portrait effect, and I can decide this time to go with 7. I can apply it and then I'm gonna have another portrait picture. If I don't really like the portrait effect, I can just revert to original and my background is going to be restored. But there is no option to play with the lighting, no direction of the light, no source of the light, no strength and intensity of the light. So this is actually the difference between the fake portraits and the so-called real portraits. This is how I call them. In both cases, Samsung are using the Camera AI Stereo Depth Map, and I do believe they are doing a very nice and very outstanding job. If you agree with me, let me know down below in the comments. If you disagree, please also write a comment. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this, and please, you and your family stay safe until we meet in one of my next videos. And with that said, VST over and bye.